VO1. This session kicks off with a promise, big recommendations, bigger questions, and so far, almost no clear answers. Today we're following the EXA report's recommendations, the Home Office's role, and a tangle of departments all pointing fingers. Who's actually accountable? Who's been left waiting for a funding decision? Stick around, this one's equal parts bureaucratic chess and emotional fallout, and it's only warming up.
Probably more.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to just take my focus on to some of the responses to Dame Baroness Casey, if that's all right, Minister, and just on the ICS recommendations as well, while we've got you in front of us. It was just, are you able to provide an update on the recommendations from the ICS report in terms of time frame when they are going to be implemented? Because at the moment, my understanding is we're not quite sure.
Well, look, no, I mean, I gave a statement to Parliament and published a plan, if you will, of some of the timelines that are really specifically on the ICSA recommendations. Once again, the Home Office is actually only responsible for, I think, 4 of the 20 ICSA recommendations. They are the responsibility largely of other government departments, but that has there is a published timeline on some of those things. Now, some of them are waiting and reliant on what happened last week, which is the comprehensive spending review, and so government departments are currently going away and looking at their obligations in light of the spending review. So I would say more update on timelines of exactly how that will come in the coming months when those conversations are had.
Okay, so are you able to give any better indication on time frame? I'm just conscious we're almost a year in.
Have you got a particular?
Well, just for example,
recommendation?
Yeah, okay, so look, public awareness campaign, as far as I'm aware, no plans yet. Power for courts to intervene in council exercise parental responsibility, no plans yet.
Say the first one and I'll answer.
Well, okay, I'll pick power for a court to intervene in council exercise of parental responsibility. So if my understanding is that there's been no indication set out by government on that, or indeed about 14 of the 20 yet.
Again, sorry, I'm genuinely going deaf.
So power for court to intervene in councils to exercise parental responsibility. My understanding is there's been no indication on timings associated with that. So the point I'm making is, I think there's about 14 of the recommendations that we don't have a proper understanding of time frame yet. I just was wondering.
Well, look, like I say, I stood and made a statement in Parliament about the update on the ICSA recommendations and published a plan with timelines in it. That still stands. I expect an update to that, like I say, which is what I said during the statement, following governments having government departments having their settlement.
Okay. And can I just ask, what conversations have you had with the Education Secretary on the ICSA recommendations?
So myself, personally, I have met with the Education Secretary alongside Alexis J and others who were involved in ICSA when we were leading up to what our response to the recommendations would be. So myself and Alexis J. However, the Cabinet Office and the Home Secretary. Obviously, the Home Secretary has bilaterals with the Education Secretary. I don't have the exact data in front of me, but I'm going to say regularly.
When was the last conversation you had with the Education Secretary to ICSA? You personally, as a safeguarding minister.
Me personally, when was the last conversation? I met with the Education Secretary. The reason I ask is because I did a written question to the Home Office asking when the recommendation for a cabinet minister for children was going to be implemented, and the response that I had was, "Well, that's the responsibility of the Education Secretary." No, the response is the same response that the previous government gave to that recommendation, which is that the Education Secretary is the cabinet minister for children.
Which is what I've just said. So my question being, just how much dialogue is the Home Office having with
the Department for Education on ICSA?
And for you as the
a lot.
Okay, but just give us a little bit. When
okay, so me personally meeting with the Secretary of State for Education on ICSA was just before we announced our plans, and the
Okay, pause and unpack this. The Minister just confirmed for many of the EXA recommendations there are no plans yet, and the Home Office only directly owns a small slice of the work. That's critical. When a report has 20 recommendations and most sit in other departments, timelines become a coordination problem, not just a policy one. Practically speaking, that means two things. One, requests for immediate action can stall while departments wait on spending review outcomes. And two, local victims and campaigners hear we're looking into it when they need concrete steps. Legally, when responsibilities are split across departments, enforcement and funding lines blur, and that can slow child protection reforms from proposal to practice. So tell me, should ministers be forced to publish a joint timetable when recommendations affect multiple departments? Would that speed up accountability or just create more politics around budgets?
Meeting was really specifically around a child protection authority, and I took along Alexis J to that meeting with me. However, I meet Janet Davey, who is the Minister for Children. She is on the Violence Against Women and Girls Board. We also have had a cross-government board specifically on the ICSA recommendations and how they pass over. Now, obviously, at an official level, we are speaking to the Department for Education on the issue of ICSA, not just ICSA, and also more broadly child abuse and our interventions in it. I'm going to say week in, week out. But the Secretary of State has met with the Home Secretary on a number of occasions. Like I say, I'm more than happy to find out, although it is available on the government websites, I believe, when they meet. It's something I didn't know until recently. So you can look to see how many times they've met.
Can you just provide any indication, if you're aware at the moment, on whether or not the structure following the announcement of the national inquiry is going to focus on more areas beyond the 5 that has already been indicated?
What you will know is that is independent of me, and so it would be wrong for me to tell an independent inquiry what and where it has to look at.
And do you just following on the session that we had earlier on, which I know you were kindly listening into earlier on?
Oh, the
panel session that we had before.
I also watched half of Louise as well.
So, do you feel where levels of concern have been raised in particular areas, and I will mention Bradford Council again, and I know that you were kind enough to meet with me, and indeed David Greenwood, who I brought along to the meeting as an expert, as a child abuse lawyer, where there's been an element of concern that's been consistently raised in an area, and then you have a mayor for West Yorkshire who literally said 12 days ago, I believe, that we do not want a national inquiry, and now effectively accepting the recommendations. Do you feel it should be just and right for where there has been such level of concern raised at a local level, that actually it would be helpful to have a spotlight shone on the Bradford district as part of this process? I
mean, again, far be it from me as to tell an independent inquiry where to go. What I will say is that I dislike and have for a number of years. I dislike that, and I'm sure these places dislike it as well, that the issue of grooming gangs becomes synonymous with basically 3 or 4 places that have, to be fair to them, been the places that have done the better work, which is a sort of, it's a bit of a, like, so your Rotherham, your Rochdale, Oxford, which had one of the big cases. So in my own work experience, what I have seen is lots of people abused outside of those areas. And what I wouldn't want is just to be another look at Rotherham, Rochdale. That I think, as Louise Casey's audit quite clearly lays out, there has been huge amounts of work. So am I keen to see areas that have previously not had that? Am I keen? Of course I am. However, I am not the chair yet. I am not, nor will I ever be the chair of that independent panel. So it's not for me. They have to look at the evidence. I believe the evidence will take them to places where they need to look.
Okay, so
I wish I could sit here and say to you, because you're absolutely right, you did come and see me about this, and you absolutely deserve some credit for that, because I will say you are the only one whoever has, and David, who you brought with you, I knew from work on ICSA, and have met him with Alexis J on a number. In fact, I think he might have been in the meeting with the Secretary of State. In fact, and what I would say is that he is a man I respect, and your pleas, and certainly the pleas of Fiona Goddard, who I know you mentioned earlier, who I have met, are very convincing. Like, I wouldn't say anything else, and so yeah, but it's not for it's absolutely not for me to say where things should go.
Quick wrap. This hearing shows the gap between inquiry recommendations and real-world implementation. The Home Office owns only part of the response. Many measures are waiting on the spending review, and the independent inquiry will ultimately decide scope and focus. The practical takeaway: victims, local leaders, and lawyers are asking for transparent timetables and cross-departmental accountability, and that's exactly what will signal progress. If you found this case as shocking as we did, make sure to hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping courtroom breakdowns.